Cavalier faithful, welcome back to the Cleveland Pulse YouTube channel. My name is Jeffrey. Justin is next to me. Logan down below. We are your Cavs encapsulated crew, back 35 games in, 31 wins, 4 losses. We're going to talk about it on a 10-game winning streak. Just coming off a West Coast stretch. We're going to let Logan get into that. We're going to let Justin talk about rotations. First, I have a bone to pick.
Oh, come on.
I'm starting early. I'm going to look right into the camera. John Schumann, who does the NBA Power Rankings. Power Rankings, Week 12. Thunder and Cavs swap as 3 new teams enter the top 10. I want to shake his hand. I want the doubters to continue. I want people to keep us right below the Thunder in a game we're just about to play them, even though we were the number 1 team in the power rankings last week. I don't think we lost the last week, and then they somehow jump us magically. So it's all going to be on display. Another huge matchup, just like the Boston matchup, coming off of 15 straight. Another huge matchup for the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. We're going to talk about it. We're going to get involved, and we're going to tell you how we feel. Logan, talk to me about this West Coast trip, these last 4 games that were just played by our Cleveland Cavaliers, please.
What the Cavaliers are doing this season is comical. You said it. They've played 35 games. They've won 31 of them. That's not something you even see in your dreams as a Cleveland fan. West Coast road trips, many a times for many teams, especially in the Eastern Conference, usually are times where things start to unravel a little bit during the season. You're playing later. You're on the road, away from your family for a week and a half, 2 weeks, depending on how long. So we've had like 5-6 game road stands very often. This is West Coast, different styles, different everything colliding. And they wiped 4 good basketball teams. Talk about Denver. You talk about Golden State. You talk about the Lakers, who have had their faults. And sure, Dallas is down Luka, now down Kyrie as well. Nonetheless, the Cavaliers don't even flinch in this scenario. I think teams of the past, Cavaliers teams of the past, last couple of years, I'd even say LeBron teams of the past struggle with that West Coast road trip. The ones with like Portland and the Lakers and the Clippers and the Kings. Those you come back like 2-4, under 500 something. Hardly ever successful West Coast road trip. But the big thing to me, and I saw this on Twitter, 4 different leading scorers in those games. Against Denver, Donovan, 33. Against Golden State, Darius, 25. Against LA, 27 for Jared Allen. And Evan Mobley against Dallas, a 34-piece, and he was every bit as good as he's been all season. I mean, we saw a little bit of everything from Evan in that game. That is the biggest talking point. We can talk about 149 points. We can talk about how they eclipsed 120 in 3 out of the 4 games, 113 against Golden State. But to me, it's the balance. And to me, it's the minutes. Kenny Atkinson has this thing down to a science. I mean, he really does. We have guys playing less than 30 minutes being just as effective because there is other people that have bought in, that know their role and shine in said role. This Western Conference road trip, I was a believer, don't get me wrong, at 27-4. But to go on the road 4 straight times on the West Coast, dominate opponents, let's see, a team that was in the NBA Finals last year. Okay, I'll take Dallas out of it. Fine. Kyrie, no Luka, I get it. LeBron's Lakers, a former dynasty in Golden State who is still playing good ball overall. Denver was a champion 2 years ago. These aren't just your everyday crappy Western Conference teams. The Cavaliers haven't lost to the Western Conference this year.
Yep.
And I thought surely during this 4-game road stand, they'll lose one. That being said, obviously I've only ever predicted Cavs. We'll get into predictions later. They look really good right now. It's really easy when the Cavaliers just keep winning.
For sure.
But that, to me, was the biggest moment in this season so far. A balanced attack domination of 4 Western Conference teams on the road.
And I'm gonna push back a little bit here on you, Logan, on the game that you took out. I want to highlight, because everything you just said before I go to Justin here, everything you just said about how this team is playing different, moving different, The 134 to 122 game is still impressive to me. I'm not going to flaunt it. I'm not going to boast our chest about beating Dallas down to both of their best players, but that was an environment and a game in these past couple of seasons where we wouldn't handle business. It'd be a close game. It'd be a nail biter, 2-3 point game, 1 possession game, 30, 45 seconds left. Close. We would win it, but it wasn't like, hey, this team doesn't play down. They never play down. They play their level of basketball and they go out and win games. Justin, let's go through this list here all the way back to the Wizards game. 14-point win, 29-point win against the Nets, 23-point win against the Bucks, so on and so forth. 10-game winning streak with every game being a 10-point victory or more. Talk to us about how you're feeling with this team being able to replicate success every single night. Just what's standing out to you?
Let me just do you one better really quickly and ask you a quick fact-checking question.
Okay.
Have the Cavs not scored under 100 points at all this season?
Now that's a good question.
Because I believe that's probably the most impressive thing for me. To be honest with you, a team that struggled offensively and to go to Logan's points about look at those 4 games he pointed out. Evan Mobley has a game. Jared Allen has a game. Darius Garland has a game. Donovan Mitchell has a game. And then you look at the bench and you look at other guys performing. Dean Wade has come back into the starting role, has been very good, has been very efficient. I think it's always a matter of speaking about how good he is in the starting role as opposed to how good he can be coming off the bench. Karis LeVert continues to spin the wheel that Cavs Twitter has, made mention of. Some nights can be Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. Some nights can be Thabo Cephalosha and other noteworthy Anthony Bennett type players, So, but he more often than not rolls the good ones. So, Max Strus coming back from injury, being good, and Ty Jerome just continuing the hot start that he had to this season. So. Guys have been injured. Guys have been in and out of lineups, but throughout it all, Kenny Atkinson has had 11 guys play over 15 minutes, which is – I could use some explicit words to describe how that makes me feel and, get real, visual and whatnot. But we're gonna give it PG. I'm just in love with it, and it's been something that I think offensively – You want to give credit to JB Bickerstaff for the job that he did building this team and building this roster up to what it could be defensively. And I think it's carried over through these guys, but at the same time, I think it's been improved upon. And I think offensively, this team has just been unlocked. I mean, they're on pace for a historical season and a historical Cavs season, nonetheless, at the very least. So I can't. Every time we've talked about the Cavs, for me, it's been the coaching. And I don't think it's going to change anytime soon unless one of these guys kind of just takes over for the rest of the season.
And Justin, looking at this fact checking here, I believe 101. I did a quick skim. 101 is the least amount of points we scored this season, and it was the NBA Cup group stage loss to the Atlanta Hawks on the road. So I believe we have scored triple digits in every contest this year,
even in losses.
Plenty of games, 110, 120, even the 130s. They showed a graphic the other night on the broadcast, and it's like we're just, we have 5 or 6 games in the 130s, I believe, or more.
If not more, yeah.
Minimum. So
just exploding.
I don't know, man. We're shooting the lights out of the ball. Other teams, our game plan doesn't change. I like that a lot. If we're just talking, big picture intangibles and tangibles, the game plan doesn't change. Get people the basketball the right way. Make sure we're actually running offensive schemes. The out of the timeouts are great. The timeout calling is amazing. Challenges are being used. Like it's almost like just the simple stuff that everything is locked in on like a detail oriented level. You're not Darius Garland not turning the ball over. And we've talked about that. We've seen these guys. We've seen some of these players when they were not playing this good, when they were playing on the downswing of, their potential. And we talked about it. If player X does this, they'll be real good. If player Y does this, they'll be really good too. every single player on this team is playing exactly how they need to be playing. That's really the only way I could put it. You got people hitting shots. You have, the offense has been unleashed, unlocked, like you said, Justin. The perimeter shooting, everybody has gravity. It's a big word used in NBA offenses today. What are you going to make the defenders defend on that side of the court? Logan, go ahead.
If I might.
Please.
So people talk about the NBA ratings being down, and this popped in my head when you mentioned hitting shots and hitting shots at a high rate. And people say that the NBA ratings are down because it's become a three-point contest. Come down the floor, shoot a three. Come down the floor, shoot a three. We saw Minnesota versus Boston a couple of days ago. It's not fun basketball to watch when that happens. The Cavaliers do shoot a lot of threes. They make a lot of threes. But correct me if I'm wrong. I told this to my dad the other day. Doesn't it feel like our three-point attempts are more earned, though? Like, we don't just have a guy dribbling around and firing up a shot. It's like running. There's never a shot that they take that's not within the offense. Sure, you'll have the occasional Donovan Mitchell step back when things aren't working out. You'll have Darius Garland off a screen pop something, but it feels like every shot that comes in is coming off an extra pass. It's coming off an off-ball screen. It's coming off a kick or a drive and kick. Like, what Kenny has assembled offensively, there's nobody trying to be a hero. Like you said, they're playing within the system. They're playing, they're knocking down shots because they're taking good shots. They're not taking these 9-1-1 shots or these look at my highlight reel type of shots. These are guys playing as one unit, finding the very best possible shot, passing up great shots for unreal shots. And it's really translated. I just want to say that I think the Cavaliers are, beyond the fact that they're good, beyond the fact that they shoot a lot of threes and they have this high potent offense, they're just a fun team to watch. They play as one, and it's really refreshing.
And honestly, they're getting the injury. It's just, there's literally nothing bad to say. The injury management has been good. The minutes have been appropriate, astute, keep people's minutes low. We had to try so hard to win regular season games in the previous seasons that when we ran out of gas at the end of the year, it was like nearly predictable. All right, if Donovan has to sweat his ass off to basically make sure that we get a 4 seed in the past couple of years prior, there's no signs of that this year. Everybody getting their home cooking and on the road too, making sure that, hey, this guy isn't carrying your offense. When this player is down, when this player is hurt, when this player needs rest, Okoro's been out for a couple of games. Hopefully you get him back on Wednesday against Oklahoma City. I'm assuming that's the game plan. You get an assessment of Merrill. Can he play? Is he able to go? Okoro's the same way. Like, yes, you've had people hurt. It hasn't been a perfect year from an injury standpoint, but everything has been managed appropriately. Kenny Atkinson, I don't know, runaway coach of the year for me. I'm sure it'll be disputed. I'm sure there's other people who are worthy of it. We're going to talk about Oklahoma City here. We're going to transition slightly, kind of do a hybrid talking of previewing the game Wednesday, who you guys want to see, who you think the rotation kind of shrinks down to. If it's not a game we're up by 15, 20, if it's a close game, if it's a 2-bucket game in the fourth quarter. Logan, I'm really glad you brought up the ratings, because I don't know what the NBA is doing and what they're doing with this game, and why if it's not flex, if it's not on every national TV, cable channel possible, it doesn't get any better than this in the NBA regular season. You have the 31-4 Cleveland Cavaliers, an 886 winning percentage on a 10-game winning streak at home against the 30-5 Oklahoma City Thunder with an 857 winning percentage on a 15-game winning streak. For the best record in the NBA, the winner is the best record in the NBA, in my opinion, because, tiebreaker, in my opinion. So, and you can stop Oklahoma City from having a higher winning streak than you have this season if you're the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's like, this is something the NFL draws up, every week somehow, and it's peak cinema for the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Oklahoma City Thunder this Wednesday, January 8th. We're going to predict the game. Let's talk about it really quickly here. Donovan Mitchell, SGA, Darius Garland. The guard play is going to be amazing in this game. Logan, I want to hear your thoughts really quickly. Then we're going to go to Justin, and then we could go right into the predictions right here, gentlemen, if you want to. Is anybody going to this game? Are you guys going to this game or no? I know somebody going, but is anybody going?
No, the Cavs have won the last 12 games that I've attended, and I'm not going to be there, so that's a damn shame. Talking about this game. For one, It's refreshing that it's the Oklahoma City Thunder in a way, right?
Yep.
That it's a young up and coming team. It's not the LAs, the Golden States, the Denver. I mean, Denver, I actually like Denver too. It's not a team that has a whole lot of it's the Cavaliers of the Western Conference, right? I mean, not only record
Smaller
wise,
market,
but
yeah, smaller
smaller
markets.
market with
Yep.
mostly guys that they've drafted or like made small moves for that have developed that have turned into a good solid basketball team. So it's a refreshing one in that regard too. I think this is a team that the Cavaliers, because the Cavaliers have liked to play fast this year, and Oklahoma City can definitely do that. They have young legs just like the Cavaliers. I think this is going to be a collision of two, honestly, pretty similar play styles. I think the Cavaliers have the advantage defensively that could make the difference. But when it comes to this game, this is a team that Oklahoma City that gets to the line a lot. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, you know how I feel about floppers, Jeffrey, and I think Shea can occasionally be that, and it's going to frustrate me. So the Cavaliers,
He's
who
like a
like to,
Brunson flopper almost.
yeah, where it's like, yeah, I guess it's a foul, but like, come on. I'd say that this game, the Cavaliers who like to play this very aggressive defense, they're gonna have to be a little more mindful. They're gonna have to be a little bit more communication. I think with these games right now, they're kind of going through the motions in a good way, where it's like, yeah, we're better than you, so it doesn't matter. Go on your 8-0 run, we'll respond to the 12-0 run. It's fine. That's probably not going to happen in this game. You're going against a team that's just a high-powered offense, wants to move the ball, wants to push. Great coaching in Mark Daigneault. If you want to talk about a guy who's going to try to threaten Kenny Atkinson for Coach of the Year, obviously Daigneault has to be in the conversation. So I think it's going to be a collision of two teams that are just so similar. Who is better? And Cleveland has home court going for them. I think they have the camaraderie going for them. Not to say Oklahoma City doesn't, but this is going to be the first. I want to say the first real test for the Cavaliers this season. They've passed a lot of tests this year. I would say they've passed a lot of quizzes this year. But this is truly best of the best. Are you going to show up? Are you going to be competitive in a loss? Are you going to dominate in a win? Are you going to just squeak it out? You're going to learn a lot from this game. Win or lose, I think we're going to know exactly just how good this Cavaliers team is. We know how good they are. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying when you put it up best versus best, who comes out on top. There's a lot of exciting storylines.
And honestly, like this is, if you had to make a comparison and you had to nitpick, the last time you were on a big winning streak and a team that, the national media claimed was better than you lost. So here's your opportunity. You're back up to the plate, and no one's gonna, nothing happens if this game is a loss. Like nothing really happens in the grand scheme of it. But I mean, the storylines, SGA versus Donovan, that discourse.
Is Chet back yet? Or have they been doing all this without Chet Holmgren?
They're doing this with all without
That's
Chet,
crazy,
nearly certain. And then Hartenstein's a player who's given us problems in the past. There's a lot of good storylines coming up here. Justin, talk to me here. Let's walk through this. Let's do some mental discussion here. Core 4 plus Dean Wade. First of all, do you agree with Dean Wade being the starter at the 3? Do you think that's locked in stone for the rest of the year per his health?
It's interesting because I do think that Max is struggling just a little bit with the return. Not necessarily struggling, but trying to find his way in his new role. And I don't know that it's been defined as that. I don't know going into the season, knowing his injury, if when he came back, they told him, hey, we're going to keep you coming off the bench until the All-Star break or whatever it may be in terms of trying to ramp him up. I just, like I said in the beginning, I've always thought that it's more important to have Dean Wade in the starting lineup for him than it is for him to come off the bench in terms of like having a flex guy at the 4 and 5. But I think it's totally appropriate for him to be starting at the 3.
And then from there, let's say tomorrow, close game, and I don't know if Atkinson approaches it like this, but let's say you can only go up to 8 people tomorrow. Who's your 3 off the bench? Assuming Okoro's healthy.
When we had the Knicks game, I felt like he really did kind of trim it down into the 8-person lineup, but
he's trimmed it. Yep.
At that point, I think obviously still trying to figure out what's working. It kills me because again, the most utilized guys are the guards, and so you have to say Karras and you want to say Ty, are the two guys for me right off the rip. But at that point, then you're going to say Max, right? Max has to come off the bench as well. It's tough because I don't think that he would ever dwindle it down to just 8 now. But if it had to be, I would go Karras, Max, and Ty, and kind of just roll the dice, bring Max in early for Dean, get Dean a little bit of rest, then bring Dean in for Evan or Jarrett, and kind of roll the dice like that for the rest of the game. But that's a little bit much to ask for the big guys. So
now, this guy's been good this year. Like, I'm not even going to sit here and say he isn't. George Niang, right? Like, he has done exactly what he needs to do in his role. This is all I really needed from him last year. This is why he was so frustrating last year.
Just don't be a net negative.
Just make 3-pointers and be scrappy on defense. I know you're not going to keep up with most of the guys. Just be scrappy. And but I do think in a matchup against the Thunder, and I hope I'm wrong, I don't think this is a matchup that favors a guy like George Niang. I think this is more like a Max Strus, where a little bit more edge to him, more movement offensively. Like Niang can kind of get camped out sometimes. Sometimes he does well cutting. Sometimes he makes his move to the basket. Don't get me wrong. And this is not to slander George Niang. I'm just saying if you're telling me to shorten my bench a little bit, I think Niang is probably the odd man out in the situation. Not to say that I don't want to see him for a stretch. I always am fine with a Niang stretch. But I do think Justin's right in the regard. First of all, the stat that I heard on the broadcast the other day, what was it? It was like since last year that Dean Wade has started in games like 36-4, some crazy 34-6. I don't know what it was.
Really good record with Dean Wade. We have
Something
a really good
absurd
record.
So, and like Justin said, we've been talking about it for almost a year now. It's good for Wade to just start, and it's good for himself. It's a guy that doesn't need the basketball to be effective. And when you have the core four all playing at one time, you kind of need that guy that doesn't really need the ball to be effective, can just do all the little things that make the team better. If Okoro plays, though, I mean, you got to imagine you're seeing a few minutes from him. This is my thing, Jeffrey.
Yep.
If I'm Kenny Atkinson, I'm 31-4 so far through 35 games. Just because I'm playing the top team in the West and because it's like a showdown, kind of like that first finals preview, I'm not going to change everything, though. I got to keep doing what I'm doing, right? Or do you have a different point on that?
Well, okay, so I agree with you. And if Atkinson comes out and plays 10 tomorrow, no one's saying anything. The only reason I'm saying this, and people are going to go, oh, well, and I already see it. I already hear it. It's understandable. Some people are the Grinch. I get it. The whole, you got, some parts of this fan base can't enjoy anything. Okay, you could look at it like that. I'm looking at it as, how can we internally identify weaknesses, identify patterns, and make sure that everything is dialed in and stays the same way for the playoffs? The only reason I'm bringing this really, really up, Logan, and there was injuries back then at game 16, but, Okoro, Merrill, they might not play tomorrow. 15-0, Cleveland Cavaliers, Kenny Atkinson, the game they lost to the Celtics went 8 guys. Mobley, Allen, Mitchell, Garland, Niang, Jerome, CPJ, and Merrill. That's all he played, was 8 guys. Does he go back to that? Does he learn from that and play 9, 10, maybe 11 guys to Wednesday? If it's another marquee matchup that the storyline of the game and the game flow dictates that it's going to be a close game for 4 straight quarters, I'm just curious to see how he operates and who he operates with. It doesn't really matter on the grand scheme of the season, but if both of my data points for him in a really tight, contested playoff-like atmosphere is to go to 8 guys, I'm curious, and we will be watching and observing and noticing. With that being said, Logan, you were cruising through the predictions.
You guys are also cruising
this
Come
year.
on.
I know, but you're really up there. You're really, you've been the sharpest of them all at 33-3. Me and Justin with 2 losses behind you, tied. I think this is the only tough game to predict on this whole stretch. I know we play the Pacers, twice here in this kind of weird stretch right here. I hope I have these games in the right order. I'm just going to start because I just have really good convictions. Just give me the Cavs. Just give them to me. I think we keep rolling. I don't think I'll tell you right now, give me them for all these games. I don't think we lose. I want another 15 game. I want a 20 gamer. I don't know if we'll lose the rest of the year. How about that? I don't know.
I hope we do. We can't go into the playoffs with us. People are always saying like, "Oh, we can beat Golden State's record this year." I don't want to do that.
Would love to.
No,
Get him out of the.
I would love to.
Get him out of the history books.
No. Our claim to fame is beating the 73-9 Warriors. Imagine if the 74-8 Cavs get eliminated in the second round.
But who cares though? But who cares though? Because
I do.
73-9, losing 3-1, unless we get 3-1 comeback on.
Oh boy.
Then it's like, oh shit.
Yeah. How about we beat the 73-9 Warriors and then we beat their record and we won the finals.
Give me 65 wins. That's
no,
no, 70
win as
wins
many games
minimum.
as you can.
70 wins minimum.
I love it. I love it.
Who wants to go? Justin, you want to go next here? I'm curious.
Yeah, Cavs, then Cavs. Should we just put up some, like, do you want to fill in the rest of those blank ones?
Hold on.
Have games yet?
Hold on. Tell me again. What is it?
Cavs, then Cavs again.
Fair
and
enough.
Then there's some more blank spaces there.
Jeffrey, can you go ahead and scroll up for the rest of the viewers? So my strategy so far has been doing kind of what Justin, just Cavs.
Look at me doubting them against the Nuggets, but we all said Heat. This is the most amazing one to me. We all said Heat here.
We did.
There was something going on there. I think like Evan or someone was like,
oh, it was back to back too.
And we don't play good in Miami. We just don't.
Back to back and in Miami. So
too busy partying.
That's the thing is people can sit here and say, "Well, it's easy to predict when the Cavs keep." Well, we're just playing the the cards we're dealt right now. The Cavaliers. I mean, that Hawks thing was crazy, but looking back on that, that's pretty wild. That
we have half of our losses are to Atlanta.
So, give me Raptors and Pacers as Cavs, and I'm so torn right here. Oh my god. It just feels like one of those things where like I can't quite be overjoyed as a Cleveland sports fan. Or it's like I'm so happy and I just want this one win, but the Thunder are standing in your way.
This is a game with expectations. Like it's only the second game with expectations all year, really.
That being said, I just said what my strategy is. Until they start losing, I can't do anything but Cavs. This Thunder game is going to be interesting.
I've never done this, but like I gotta like mark this game off. Like this game is just like amazing. Like it's just such a good game.
It is. This is going to be interesting come Wednesday. I mean, here's the thing. I do think this game against the Thunder can be affected by officiating. These Thunder will get to the line over and over, and we're going to be texting in our group chat bullshit. All this crap.
Ref show. Yeah. Like the third team that's always involved in every sporting event that can totally decide a game. I do think this is going to be one of those games where down the stretch, Shea's going to get to the line. Shea's going to do his little ball fake. Shea's going to do his little jump into people. I think a guy like Lou Dort can take one of our offensive players out of it. Lou Dort's a fantastic defender. If he guards Garland all night or slows down Mitchell, I think the Thunder are really well equipped to match up with our Cavaliers, but in vice versa, I think the Cavs are well equipped to match up with the Thunder. It's a very intriguing matchup, but until the Cavs lose, we have to keep going Cavs. Well said. Justin, final thoughts here before we wrap up.
I just think that this season has been I like that Logan brought up the point about the ratings and everything. I personally love what he said about how the Cavs have earned a lot of their, 3-point shots and everything. And I also think that a lot of the whole the ratings thing is like a lot of old heads just being like,
what happened to the game I love?
They don't dunk no more. I'm like, you see like 10 players do the Michael Jordan reverse layup, and you're like,
it's stale now.
It's commonplace now. Like, yeah, it was cool a couple. You know what's really cool? Watching a 7'4" dude like cross up a guard and then pull up for three. I think that's the coolest thing in the world. It's the freakiest looking thing. Have you ever seen an alien drop a little dude? Crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Crazy. Anyways, that being said, I've loved every minute of these Cavs. I think the way that they played has been revolutionary, and I think it's the way that the NBA should start going towards. I think, like Jeff has said, there are major implications with this game, not only for these teams, but again, just for the state of the NBA, where I think these teams have developed through the draft, through just development in general of those guys that they've drafted, bringing in the right free agents, trading. And to this point, they're the best teams in their conferences. So going to be a really exciting game Wednesday, and looking forward to hopefully going Cavs some more. So.
Well, and so my final thoughts real quick, Jeffrey. Over the last 2 years, I do think the Cleveland Pulse and us as a whole, people have looked at us and said, God, you guys are just so negative all the time. You guys are just so cannot be pleased or whatever.
Sure.
And now they're probably looking at us and saying, oh, see, you guys were worried about nothing. No. The reason we were so angry, I would say to a lesser extent, Justin, the reasons me and Jeffrey were so angry and came out with these hot, blistering hot, boiling hot takes is because this is exactly what we thought this Cavs team could be. Mm-hmm. And we always felt that something was holding them back. We thought, if only Garland could be all-star guard again, if only Garland would stop turning over the basketball, if only JB would challenge that play, if only JB would push this offense to start running, if only Mobley would develop that three-pointer, we're finally getting answers to if only. So there's a lot less to complain about because there's not new things that have come about that I have to be worried about as a Cavs fan. Am I going to still sit here and say backup big will still be necessary come playoff time? Absolutely. That's going to be something the Cavaliers will have to look into. I don't care how good you're playing. When the game slows down and it starts to become about man basketball and getting rebounds and having that energy off the bench, the Cavaliers will still have to have that. But that being said, like I said, the Cavaliers are now at a spot where I don't have anything to complain about. As sports fans, I've said it. I think I said it when I first came on the show with you guys. Sports fans, if you give them an inch, they want a mile. And for us, we got a taste of it with that first year with the Cavaliers, with Garland and Sexton going down and go 43-39, eliminated by the Hawks. And then we get Donovan, and you're thinking, okay, here we come. And then they start just kind of playing 500 ball. And why is Garland falling off? Mobley, come on, hit that jumper. Eventually, coach, get him the hell out of here. They fixed a lot of things. Was I wrong in saying maybe they should switch the core four? Sure, I'll give you that. But I think now that they have the mind in charge that can actually really make this core four, these duos of Garland and Allen, then Mitchell and Mobley, and then mesh them all together, there's nothing to complain about. That's all I'm going to say. 31-4, I probably shouldn't complain about anything.
I'm going back to what I started with. I hope somebody I hope Kenny has this in the locker room. I do. I hope Donovan, I hope DG's buddy, somebody texting him the link to this NBA power ranking, because what I do think the NBA has lost is that regular season games don't mean anything. That's true. That's evolved over the years. This game means something. You're the best record in the league, and the guy who's sitting there at his little work-from-home computer who's getting paid by the league office that Adam's on Adam Silver's payroll is saying that the team with a one more loss than you is somehow leapfrogged you in the power rankings. Get pissed off. But back to Logan's point, keep playing the style of basketball you've been playing. Don't do anything differently, but treat it like it's game 7, man. This is a test run right here. Let's see what you could do when you're playing the second best team in the league who's on your skill level. And the guy on NBA.com is already saying that they're better than you. Power rankings will just leapfrog you. The disrespect is insane. And that's Cleveland for you. That's just how it goes in this city. But you want that if you're a player. You want that chip on your shoulder. And we want you to keep coming back and watching us talk about the Cavaliers.
Nice transition. Hell of a transition.
Like button, comment below who's winning this game. And if you've made it this far, we appreciate you. And for Justin, for Logan, I'm Jeffrey. And with that being said, we appreciate you being the pulse of it all. Peace.